Hey everybody, Brian and Leslie Fatherees here with you for the Unbreakable podcast. Welcome.
Yes.
We're glad you're here. We're glad you listen to us and pay attention to us.
Yes.
We hope this podcast is beneficial to you, that you learn something, that you can be inspired by it, that you grab nuggets and things that help you along the way.
Yes.
That's what we're here for. We were just praying for you and for us as we get ready to start the podcast here, that we would be able to be effective teachers.
Yes.
And communicate effectively things that will help you in your marriage and your family.
Right.
So we're in the month of May, and in May is a very, very busy month.
Yes.
It's an exceptionally busy month. We have graduations, we have weddings either in May or coming up in June, so everybody's scrambling to get whatever. I just watched a newscast the other night, and it was really kind of sad. They gave away this couple's block of rooms. They had 36 rooms that they had reserved for the wedding, which was coming up the next Saturday. And they found out within 4 days before they're supposed to be there that the rooms were given away. You talk about fun.
They had there.
And so that's just busy. It's crazy, right?
Yeah. Plus, there's holidays. There's Mother's Day. There's Memorial Day.
And then Father's Day comes
Father's
up
Day
in early
comes
June.
in June. So there's lots of things going on.
Yeah.
In this season, it's very busy.
So what we're going to talk to you today is about something really practical. I'm going to give you a little background on us before we jump in, because really I'm going to turn most of this over to Leslie, because she's the expert in this particular area. And so we're going to hear a lot from her, and I'll interject some humor here and there. It'll be great. But when we first got together, got engaged, my personality, I don't know if you guys ever read the Personality Plus book by Florence Littauer. If you haven't, read it. It's really good. You need to know your personality type. I am a sanguine. What that means is I show up, it's a party. And so we're going to play and party. Now, I won't get into detail, but I've changed over the years. But when I was married, I was like pure sanguine. So it was like, yay! And the thing that I had issue with is the thing we're going to talk about today.
Right.
I did not know how to say no to anybody, and I did not know how to schedule my time. I never was taught that. I knew I did some of it when I was in college, because you're kind of forced to, but I didn't do it really well. So kind of being polite to myself. So now Leslie, on the other hand, was and I always pick on her. She always says it wasn't that bad, and she had every 15 minutes of her day scheduled out. So
it wasn't that bad.
See, I told you. Cool. And so she had her whole day scheduled out. She knew exactly where she's going to go, what she's going to do, who she's going to do it with, why she's going to do it. She had it fully scheduled. So when we got married, we had to come to the middle. So I had to learn how to schedule. I had to learn how to say no. I had to learn how to organize my time. Leslie, on the other hand, needed to learn how to be flexible, because she was not flexible at all.
Yeah, my schedule was set in stone, and it needed to be a little bit flexible, more flexible than it was.
So we're going to talk to you about scheduling and organizing, and my wife really is the expert in this in our little world. Ask any of our children; they'll tell you that. They don't, hey Dad, how's the schedule? No, hey Mom, how's the schedule? They will go to her over me, and which is okay, because she really is the one to go to.
I am the keeper of the schedule, you might say, in our family.
So she has that scepter.
I have the scepter.
But anyway, so as we're sharing this with you, as we're talking about scheduling and organizing, there are basically two kinds of extreme sides of this.
Yeah.
So some of you are going to be like, I don't need a schedule. I don't need to be organized. I can do it on my head.
Right.
You're wrong. Then there's others who are like, oh my gosh, yes, give me the notes. Give me the notes. I want to know every single little thing. And you're so inflexible that it's bad.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about both and how to be schedule and organized and schedule oriented without being just a robot.
Crazed and a robot.
Okay? So with that said, here we go. Welcome, Unbreakable family. We're going to talk to you today about scheduling and organizing. And I'm just letting my wife take it over from here, because let me introduce you the schedule guru of the Fatherees family, Mrs. Leslie Fawley.
Right. Yeah.
Ah,
Okay,
go ahead.
so part of the wonderful thing about being organized and scheduled is that it reduces your stress.
Yeah.
It keeps you from having to remember everything in your head. It keeps you from missing things that you were supposed to be at and you didn't get to. It's just a stress reducer to have a schedule, to have an organized plan for how your life is going to go. Through the years, when Brian and I were first together, it was just us, and we were just trying to make sure that we got to everything he committed us to, which was impossible. It was impossible because he committed us to too many things, and we could not physically be at everything at the same time. So it definitely, in putting a schedule into place, helped us to get on top of, okay, we do want to be helpful. We do want to be at places. We want to minister when we're asked to minister. We want to be effective, but we can't do that if we are overcommitted and can't get to anything.
Exactly. And let me just jump in real quick and tell you, the other thing it does is sets borders.
Yeah.
Organization and schedule sets borders. So now I have a border that I don't need to go over or beyond.
Right.
So before that, I hurt relationships because I told everybody, yeah, I can help you move that couch. Certainly I can come pray for your kid.
No, he was not
a
there.
problem. I can do all these things, and then they're all like 6:15, 6:13, 6:15, 6:18, 6:17, 6:05. I can't get to all the places, and there are 5 different towns.
Yeah.
I can't do that. But
Right.
I loved people so much that I didn't know how to set borders and boundaries. And scheduling allows you to say, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I cannot be there for that because I have a prior commitment.
Right.
It really sets you free. And it actually helps you with friendships and it helps you with relationships.
Yeah, definitely. It helps you thrive. Having a regular schedule helps everyone thrive because everybody knows what's expected of them. They know what they have to do and when they have to get it done. And then everybody can thrive because they are accomplishing all that, and then there's the time that's left over to do the extra things that are happening in May and June. There's so many things happening in our lives in this time of the year. As school ends, you guys may even want to be taking a vacation or something. And so you have to get your stuff together. You have to get your life together so that you have time to do the fun things you want to go do. When we were, from the beginning, he said that I was scheduled when he met me. It's true. I live by a calendar. I've always had a calendar either on my wall, on my desk, somewhere. I have a calendar.
Or all the above.
Or all the above. And now that we do digital, I've shifted even to having a digital calendar.
Yep.
But it's because I'm still trying to help everyone in my family thrive. So if I can get everybody to see the calendar and the schedule and know what needs to be done, everybody can get it done and we can all have peace. It's a peace producer to have a schedule and a calendar.
Now let me jump in.
Okay.
Because this is where people like me, these sanguines out there, people who are just in it for the fun, people who really don't care about scheduling or organizing, you just want to fly by the seat of your pants. That's me. I'll admit it.
Yeah.
I'm much better. I'm really good at scheduling now, but I wasn't.
No.
But here's the thing: you have to look at the calendar.
Yeah.
You have to actually read it.
Yeah.
You have to actually. I can't tell you how many times.
For years, we had the calendar, but he never looked at it.
Not
ever.
once.
I was the only one looking at it. So
I felt that it helped my wife.
Yeah.
Not me.
Right.
It helped her. Now, I will say this. She was a constant reminder of what was on the calendar.
That's right. Did you look at the calendar? Do you know what's on there?
No.
No, he didn't.
And then there's a comedian I saw this recently. He's talking about his wife, and he's talking to her, well, what about, when are we supposed to do? And she's on her phone, and she's going, it's on the calendar. He's like, so? What are we supposed to do? So,
wow.
I know, but you have to look at it. You have to actually engage in the process with those
it's
around you.
It's something that as a couple you should work on together.
Absolutely.
You have to find the system that works for you.
Yeah.
Some people thrive on the digital. That's our daughter and her husband. They thrive on the digital. Then there's some people who really they thrive better with a big thing on the wall that they can see every time they turn around. You just have to find what works for you, but having the schedule actually helps. And so when our children were little, then I began the process of chore charts and teaching them how to do the things that they needed to do every day. And the best way for that to happen was to have a picture that they could follow the pictures and do what that picture said. And when they got it all done, they got stickers or they got, some prize of some sort. When they had a week full, they got another prize. You reward them for doing the organizational things that you need them to learn to do. And so they have grown up learning that, okay, a schedule is important. Most of them do really well with schedule and follow it pretty close. And so I feel like when you put that into your kids when they're little, your children need to start that process little. How little? Well, a 2-year-old can pick up their toys. You might have to help them, but a 2-year-old could pick up their toys. That's the first thing that might be for them to do. A 2-year-old can even carry something for you, like dishes or laundry or something, can drag the basket. I don't know. They can do something. They can do anything that you are seeing that they're able to do. And that's okay.
And know this, your work is their play.
Right.
So you're training them.
Right.
They just think they're playing with mom and dad.
Right, exactly. When they're helping, that makes them feel like they feel good because they're helping.
Right.
And you can reinforce that with them. And that makes them have an appreciation for the daily work that you have to do in your life. As our kids got into a little bit, maybe like early elementary, they were a little older, then they definitely could do all the brush their own teeth. They could comb their own hair.
Yep.
They could get dressed. They could make their bed. They could help with dishes. Maybe it's just helping to load the dishwasher or to put away the clean things, something like that. But there's lots of chores that can be done by children, not because you're trying to get out of your chores, not because you're trying to lord it over them and like be very demanding of them, but because they have to learn. And one of the most fun ways, like you said, to learn is to help mom and dad.
Yeah.
So whatever there is to do, they help. Our son, who is overcoming autism, he has learned the appreciation of being able to take the trash out. We could not trust him to take the trash out for a very long time because he was a runner and he would run away from us.
Yeah.
But now he is settled in and he does not have that proclivity to run anymore. So we can take the trash and say, okay, now I need you to walk out to the dumpster and put the trash in the dumpster. Last night I told him to do that. And he did. He took it to the dumpster, but I didn't tell him to come back. And so he was just standing out there. So my daughter's like, you can come back now. So but anyway, he likes to help. He likes to help. He really does like to help. If there's things to be carried, he likes to help carry them.
Yep.
And so you can find anything for your children to do that help you around the house or help you in the yard or whatever they might enjoy. You can help them and schedule it. Now, that brings me to another thing where we're talking about being flexible.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not a matter of it's on the schedule. Sometimes it's, okay, I feel like we need to do this today. And so you have to remember that your schedule is not written in stone, but it's meant to give you a framework to work from, and then you can adjust as you need to.
Your schedule doesn't own you.
Right.
You own your schedule.
Exactly. And honestly, it's not something that should happen every day. You should not every day feel like, oh, I need to do something else, not what's on here.
Right.
I mean, there are certain things that you do need to do every day, and you should not be skipping out on them all the time. So you have to balance that.
Yeah.
But know that your schedule is framework to help you. And if there's framework in place, everybody already knows what to do and they can follow the framework. But then when you need to have a fun day or go away or do something different, you're able to flex out of it and into the other thing. My husband appreciates that.
I really do appreciate that. And for those of you that are like in ministry, pastors, teachers, evangelists, people who travel to ministry, that you have a schedule. The first church I ever was a senior pastor of. I've been in ministry for some time at that point. I worked so hard, and I did not have control of my schedule.
Right.
Because I'd be trying to do something, and then somebody would need me.
Mm-hmm.
I need to go to the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
or someone would say, "Can I meet you at the church for something?" Or someone was having a crisis with their marriage or a crisis with a child,
Yeah.
and of course, I'm sorry, I'm busy doing. No, you do that, and I was just getting frustrated because it felt like I was going two steps forward, one step back all the
Yeah.
time. So I called a pastor I knew who had been in the ministry a lot longer than me at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, how does this work? Because you seem to make this really simple
Yeah.
and really easy. Because he laughed at me. I'm like, it's not funny. Because that's a little funny. I'm like, no, it's not funny. I'm just frustrated. And he's like, you need to learn to schedule. I am scheduled. He's like, not on top of each other. Give yourself room and schedule in interruptions.
Right.
And I'm like, well, how in the world do you schedule in interruptions?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't know they're coming.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
An interruption is an interruption.
Yeah. It's a surprise.
It's not a part of your scheduled activity.
Right.
It's an interruption. It arises. Someone got sick. Someone got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
There's a need somewhere by somebody.
Yeah.
It's an interruption. Like, how do you do that? He said, first off, leave room in between all your appointments. Don't go from like a 12:30 to 1 o'clock appointment and then you have a 1:05 to 1:30 and then you do a 1:30. He goes, leave at least 15 minutes in between appointments so you can get yourself together for the next appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Also, those 15 minutes add up the time, so you can, if someone shows up early, you can go ahead and scoot them in and put the interruption time at the back end of the
Right.
meeting.
Yeah.
He goes, and here's what happens is if you get through the day without any interruptions, good luck with that.
Mm-hmm.
He said you'll have extra time in your hand at the end of the day
Right.
to think, pray, do whatever it is that you
Yeah.
want to do.
Yeah.
Because, however, if you have an interruption, it won't disrupt your day. It won't make you frustrated
Right.
and do that. So I want to tell you, schedulers and non-schedulers, schedule in interruptions.
Right.
Make it part of your day. Give yourself time in between your meetings. Like I got friends that do, they're in business for themselves and they do Zoom calls constantly all day long. And I don't know what their schedules are like fully, but they're so busy.
Mm-hmm.
You need to schedule in time
Yeah.
to have a break
Yeah.
in between meetings. But
Another word for that is leaving margin in your
Yeah.
life. So there's a whole book about that. You can look it up.
there is.
But you don't schedule yourself to the absolute brink of your existence.
Right.
If you have every moment of every day scheduled all the time, you're going to get very frustrated because there's no way that that's going to stay on track. Life happens.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to flex with life.
And then your husband can't kidnap you and take you for a long drive and some ice cream.
It's true.
Because your schedule's going to be too inflexible.
Yes. He taught me flexibility by doing that. He would come in and say, let's go. And I'd go, where? And he'd say, oh, we'll find out. And I'd be, but I've got these things I need to do. No, just come on. And so we'd go. And so he made me learn how to flex by doing that. And usually it was a nice drive, or I ended up with ice cream, or it was just a go walk in the park or whatever. But it just made me have to get out of my schedule a little bit. And this was before we had children most of the time.
Yeah,
But,
right.
But it made me get out of my my routine enough to to learn to be a little flexible. So we both helped each other in the scheduling.
Which helps because she said before we had children, because when children show up, you better have flexibility.
Yeah. Because they don't let you stay on schedule.
They don't care about the schedule, no matter what you do,
Yeah.
until they're old enough to understand it's the schedule.
Right. Yeah. The only thing scheduled about babies is feeding times, and sometimes that doesn't work either.
Right.
So, anyway, so as our children grew, we we are homeschoolers, and actually we've finished homeschooling now, yay! But we were homeschoolers, and so not only were we scheduling our children like when they got up and when they were going to bed, but we were scheduling all through the day what needed to be studied, how we got things.
Right.
And so some years were kind of like just in general, we're doing this kind of thing during this part of the day. And other years had to be much more structured. And so, okay, we have to get 3 things in this part of the afternoon. And so we have to stay tight to our schedule most of the time. And so it was a challenge sometimes to make it happen. But I utilized a book, and I kind of forced it on all the rest of them. I utilized a book called Managers of Their Homes, and it's by Steve and Terry Maxwell. And it is an awesome book about scheduling and how to make it fit. And so we had a schedule on our wall with every person in a column, and then what each of those people were doing throughout all the timings of the day. Sometimes, like with Matthew, our overcoming autism child, he didn't have a lot of scheduled things, so his was more big general time frames that he was doing certain things. And then Brian often had big general time frames because he was just really working on ministry. It wasn't necessarily something all the rest of us needed to know exactly what he was doing, but he would have a big time frame in the afternoon. And then he's a Jeopardy lover, and so at 4:30 he always got to watch Jeopardy. You know,
Not always,
but that was kind of the plan. That was on
the
the schedule because everybody knew that, and that was, we didn't want to interrupt his time to relax and calm down from his day.
I watched it enough that Matthew memorized the theme song.
Yes. The children who were in school, they all learned how to work their schedule by themselves then as they got older. They could schedule out how to work their day where they got the most challenging subjects done first, so they got them out of the way. And then they were able to work into the other ones that they enjoyed more. And so anyway, we learned how to do that. We learned how to schedule things like who's going to shower. We've almost always been a one bathroom family, even though there's seven. There were 7 of us. Yeah, there were 7 of us. Now there's 6 of us, but one bathroom, maybe 2. Sometimes there were 2, but a lot of times we were working on one bathroom. So we learned how to schedule showers so that everybody got a shower and it was hot. We learned how to schedule anything that was pressing on us. Anything that was difficult to make happen, we would just lay it out in the schedule so that we understood where everybody was doing things. We didn't get on top of one another that way, and we were able to make everybody get everything done they needed to get done.
Exactly.
Okay, so one of my main points would be write the schedule down. You may think you have it in your head. You don't. And something will happen that will derail you, and you'll go, I have no idea where I'm at and what I'm supposed to be doing. Write the schedule down.
What is this she's talking about?
Write the schedule down and write the calendar down.
Yeah.
So both. Schedule to me is more like all during your day, each day, but calendar is like what's happening all week or all month or all year, depending on how far out you go or how, what you do in your life. You may need to have it farther out. But write it down. Pick wall calendar, desk calendar, pick chore charts, schedule charts, whatever you have to use. We had Fatherees Family Central for years where it had all of the calendar things for all the stuff that had to get done, whether it was major cleaning things or whether it was just everyday chores, whether it was church schedule, whatever was going on in our life, we had it on this big portion of our wall. And we just everybody could go there to see what was happening. A lot of you have things like your children are in sports, or they have art or theater things that they're supposed to be at. And so you need to know when all those things are. It needs to be written down so you don't miss it and they don't freak out at you and all that stuff. So write it down. Even if you're writing it digitally in your phone or on your iPad or whatever you have, whatever you're using, whatever calendar you would access easily and be able to see easily, write it down. Put it down on the calendar and make a schedule. You'll be so glad that you did that.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this. I'm not going to talk about write it down. That's self-explanatory. But organizing yourself and scheduling yourself helps you to parent your children.
Yes.
And helps you to create functional adults.
Yep.
So the way Leslie did it, and I'm giving her the credit. I was there, but I was more of an observer than a participator. Though I participated in that, and I encouraged the children. I backed her up in what we were doing.
Yes.
But all of our children became able to, as they got older, work through their own schoolwork, do their own thing.
Yeah.
So now that they're adults, when they go to work, they actually can handle the workload better than most people around them, and it's noticeably different because they were trained on how to manage their own schedule.
Yes.
I will say that because they were trained how to do it, they get frustrated with the coworkers who were not, who don't know how to manage their own time.
But that gives them opportunity to help others.
It does. And so, but they've been recognized and promoted because of the skill set that they learned from organizing and scheduling for themselves as they got older.
Right.
So you're not only keeping your household organized and scheduled
Mm-hmm.
and helping your own house to thrive, you're actually setting your kids up, your children up for future success
Yes.
in doing this.
Yes. I'm gonna also plug that book one more time. The Managers of Their Homes is a great book because it doesn't matter what personality you are. Anybody can take that book and just kind of follow the steps and make it work for you.
Yeah.
It's helpful because it gives you the foundation of how to organize and schedule. And then you can put your own personality to it. Some people are much more detailed and they want every little detail on their schedule. Some people are just general and they just need a basic skeleton to follow. And so that book is really, really good. It's by Stephen Terry Maxwell. So I'm plugging it. It's a good one.
All right.
Yep.
Anything else on scheduling or anything?
Just I think you'll be so glad that you did that because it does actually really take the weight off your shoulders trying to remember everything, trying to get everybody everywhere if it's already written down. And a lot of times I took the beginning of my week or the end of my week I just finished and sat and looked at the next week so that I could make sure things were laid out already for what was happening in the next week. Even now we have what we call a family meeting on Sunday, and everybody gets together and we talk about anything that family needs to know. We discuss that, and then we look at our schedule and we say, okay, these are the things that are happening this week. You need to be present at this, and this. You have work these times and you have work these times, and then I'll look at whatever is free and we'll stick in this other thing we want to do. So it's even as adults now, and we're still living in the same house, so we're still putting our schedules together and looking at what needs to be done, and it helps all of us to stay on track.
Yeah. I'm going to plug one last thing, and actually two last things. One's going to be a shameless plug. We'll get that in a second. This one is, I learned something from some other business people, and they do what they call PDCA. And it stands for Plan, Do, Check, and Adjust, which is what you do with your schedule.
Right.
You plan it, you do it.
Mm-hmm.
You go through your week or through your day, you check to see the progress that's being made or not made.
Right.
Like with the kids, with the homeschooling.
Mm-hmm.
We planned the day. This is how many classes they have to study today.
Mm-hmm.
They got to do the math, they got to do science, they got to do geography, they got to do the Bible.
Right.
And we may have 6 different topics that they're going to cover that day.
Mm-hmm.
So halfway through the day, we're checking, because we're checking to see how far along they've gotten, if they're ahead of schedule, they're behind schedule, and then we can adjust the schedule by what they're doing.
There have been years where we had it scheduled one way and we found out that did not work
at all.
And so we went back and changed it. We rearranged what we were doing and made it different, and it got better results that way.
But that'll help you in your flexibility. So you plan it, you go ahead and do your plan, but in the middle of your plan, you check it for its effectiveness and the results that are coming in. Look if you're ahead of schedule, behind schedule, or need to scrap the schedule and do a whole completely different schedule, and you adjust it at that point. And you can do that daily, you can do that weekly, you can do that monthly, you can do that annually. You can do as often as you need to do, you can adjust. That gives you flexibility built in.
I still have one last thought then. God is a planner.
Yeah.
God plans out our lives. He plans out his times and seasons. He plans out the epochs of time, what's going to happen. He knows the plan for eternity. He knows the plan for everything that involves all of his children and his church. So God is a planner. He's a scheduler. He has things set. He even gave the Israelites, his chosen people, he gave them feasts and festivals and things that they were to do in time, on a schedule. And their calendar is even more strenuous than ours because they have 2 of them that function at the same time that they are supposed to keep track of everything on. So God is a planner. And so when we are staying on top of things and planning things, we are being like God. We are doing like what God does. He's organized and he's on top of everything that he's doing.
Kingdom-minded scheduling. Gotta like it. Gotta like it a lot. All right. For those of you that are on the podcast and not looking, my wife and I are wearing green and purple. We're the Barney couple today. This is great. So we love you. You love me. Yay.
You have a shameless plug.
Shameless plug is my wife's book. What's the name of that book again? Oh, that's right. The Family Manual. Yeah. A practical guide to raising a Christian family.
Yes.
So be sure to go to theunbreakablefamily.com
Yes.
and grab your copy of the book. And while you're there, you can look at the other things at our vision and what we're doing and what God's got us, what we're about right now,
Right.
and what God has us up to. Also, if you're a family or a married couple, we are also doing marriage coaching and family coaching.
Yep.
So you might look at that and inquire. Just send us an email. They'll tell you where to send the email to, and we'll respond to you very quickly. But you have to go to theunbreakablefamily.com to get the context of that.
Right.
And we would love to do some one-on-one coaching for you to help you find not your purpose in life, but God's purpose for your life.
Yes.
Because
And how to walk it out.
Because really, unless you're fulfilling God's purpose in your life, you're not fulfilling a purpose. You might be doing a lot of good stuff. You might be having a lot of things accomplished. You may have a lot of money, a lot of stuff going on in your life, but without it being in God's purpose, then you're missing the plan. So we help you find that for your life. All right. With that said, that's it for this episode of the Unbreakable Podcast. Again, thank you for hanging out with us. We love you. We pray for you every week.
Yes.
And we're expecting God to do great things in your life. We will talk to you soon. Bye for now.